We are not back yet. Not back. Yes, now we're back. Okay. We are back. I swear this time it's for real. Had a little technical difficulty. Okay, we're live with Tara Carter, and we've got Brian Curtis here as co-host. Thank you so much for being here. Tara is going to show us how she has never paid for a lead, first of all. Second of all, how she is generating over 20 referrals from her housewarming parties. And the reason why this is so timely is because recently, those of you who have built a business on Realtor.com leads, that is drastically changing. And before we went live, Brian made a really great comment and said, listen, old school is becoming new school again. And so I'm super excited to talk about this strategy. So thank you both for being here, and let's just go with it. Let's just go with it.
Jump on it.
Thanks. You doing good?
Yeah, doing good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Awesome. Hey, do me a favor. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of it.
Well, obviously my name is Tara Carter, and I am been a full-time realtor for about almost 4 years now. I am in the Fort Lauderdale and Parkland, Florida area. I'm also in business with my family. I'm a third-generation realtor as well, and I just love what I do. It's really the people business. It's not about the paperwork. It's about the people work.
So when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, right?
No.
So tell us about the secret. And tell us, first of all, how did you get into figuring out housewarming parties, and how did you build up that strategy over time?
Well, I went to this amazing event called Generosity Generation with Michael Mayer. And that was probably about 3.5 years ago. And I showed up at the event, and 7 levels of communication changed my life. My entire business model is built on 7 levels. And I highly recommend, if anybody has not read that book, especially lenders as well, that is something that I highly, highly recommend. And when it comes to the 7 levels, there's the pyramid, and events and seminars would be number 6 at the very, very top of the pyramid. And by focusing on that, it's been helpful.
Okay. Well, there's going to be people on our call who have never heard of that, maybe never seen it. So if you don't mind, let's just talk a little bit more about that. Like, there you go. That's pretty good. Grab the book and show it to us. Exactly how are you implementing some of that stuff in your business? Where I think let's talk nitty gritty, unless you guys want to just talk general. I like to get to the point like, hey, how do I, as an agent, when I leave this call or leave this webinar, how do I go do what Tara does? So maybe you could share.
I thought Tara was just going to read us the book from cover to cover.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
We can go that way. It might take just slightly longer than the 30, 45 minutes we have.
So
I've got it down to a science.
That's a great question, though. Yeah, so what's the first thing you need to implement from that book? Let's start little by little, right? So when you read that book, what's the first thing you implemented and how?
The first thing I implemented from that book was the networking stacks. And that is where you basically, like Thursdays, typically today is my day that I only book all my appointments outside of the office. I have about 2 or 3 venues that I work out of weekly. I'm really not in my office except to see my assistant, go to team meetings, and maybe if I have to go to some classes or teach a class. Other than that, who's coming into your office to talk to you about real estate? Other realtors. So that's it. So other realtors unfortunately are not paying my bills. So I tend to make venues my office. So the same amount of work that you can do at your office and in your cubicle is the same thing that you can do at a local restaurant or coffee shop. And you have to continuously go to that place over and over and over to where people know who you are eventually. Or if you have somebody in your database now where somebody works somewhere, eventually they get to know you if you don't know anyone now. And you basically pop up shop. Literally pop up shop.
So basically what you're saying, guys.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brian. Sorry, go ahead.
You need something showing people, like I've seen people do this, the back of a laptop, or do you have a little sign that says, hey, by the way, I'm a realtor, or hey, by the way, ask me about your house, or do you have anything like that you're using?
Yes, actually, I have a sticker on the back of my laptop that says, have questions about real estate, let's talk. And my name badge
nice.
will be on as well. And then they really just usually see me on the phone and kind of working a deal. And some people will just come over and they're like, all right, so I have to ask, like, what do you do? Or, hey, how much do you think my house is worth? I would say the last 4 listing appointments I've gone on have all been from working out of the restaurant.
Awesome. Yeah, that doesn't sound like way either. So go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, that's essentially your prospecting, right? So I want to talk about that for a second, because a lot of agents think that, oh, I don't want to prospect, right? But I think where they're not understanding is prospecting doesn't necessarily mean sitting in a room for 3 hours making calls. You're out and you're networking, and that's a form of prospecting. And as long as you're doing that consistently and you're having fun with it, you're talking to people, immediately you're face to face, right? So you're building that instant trust face to face, which is super. And for a lot of people, that's going to be stepping out of their comfort zone, right? Because I think it's interesting that agents, and what I've found is they have a harder time talking to people they know about real estate than random strangers. Which,
I had that struggle in the beginning, for sure. I think in the beginning, though, I was just, especially with the clientele that I had, I was a little too nervous to talk to them, to let them know that I was in real estate. I mean, I have 63,000 realtors in my Tri-County area. And basically down here, it's not even like, hey, where's your driver's license? It's where's your real estate license? Because, you can sell 1-2 homes a year down here and probably be okay. So I think that I was just a little too nervous. And I think that it had to take, in the beginning, I had joined multiple teams, and to where I was splitting my money so many ways, but the amount of value that I had gotten, and I grew up in real estate very quickly the first year, that I didn't look at it like I was splitting my money so many different ways. I looked at, well, I'm learning from so many different other people at this moment, so I'm going to actually grow up a little faster.
For sure.
Yeah, you took a shortcut. Perfect.
Yeah. So the first year, though, was not very profitable whatsoever. And it's been quite amazing. I mean, doing a little over 20 million in sales and never paid for a lead. FSBOs and expireds are not a source of my business at all. I only call when I'm in bold and they force you to.
I love it. Hey, so let's talk about before you did your first housewarming party, because you probably took a little while to build up to that strategy. What's your system for essentially like keeping in front of past clients and continuing to keep the relationship going after the initial sale?
So we do the happy anniversary calls, not for their wedding, because, the divorce statistics can be quite high. So I don't want to piss anyone off. And although I am a certified divorce specialist, I made sure to do that. I would say, the home anniversary call, the happy birthday call. I mean, I even know what their dog's birthdays are, or their cat's birthday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I think that those calls are really, really
another question. All right. So how do you collect that information? Do you do it like over time as you're talking to them and getting to know them? Do you do it after the sale and get their information? What's the process for that?
I would say the majority of the time I usually get that either on the initial call or the initial appointment. Now, not the birthday, but at least the dogs or the cats' names. When they say, well, oh, I have a dog. Oh, you have a dog. What kind of dog? Oh, what's their name? And as soon as I'm at an appointment and I'm meeting the kids or the cats or the dogs, I'm writing down everybody's name. And then eventually I'll just ask, oh, how old are they? Or, and talk about when's the birthday. One of my birthday charity events that I do yearly is centered around animals, dogs specifically. Mm-hmm. So that usually leads into the conversation where I can ask deeper so they don't think I'm too crazy.
That's awesome. Brian, did you have a question? Because I can just keep going.
Yeah, no, here, let me just follow up on that real quick. So one of the things that I hear, and, we actually do another thing that I'm doing with another lab coat guy where we're doing, conversations, and we're starting to get into those. What I wanted everyone to hear, and what I love about what Tara's doing is it's not, when can I come look at your house? It's, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Because here's the other thing that's happened as we're talking about online leads. we've become unbelievably transactional as real estate community. What I'm hearing Tara doing, and congratulations for it, is you're trying to actually have a relationship with these people. I'm not saying that you're hanging out with them after closing and that type of thing, but you're finding out about their cat and their dog and their kids and this stuff. Let's face it, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And I really love that that's where you're starting from is, hey, how can I build a relationship with this person instead of, well, they'll work with me, I'll just, dot I's and cross T's. So I just wanted to congratulate you on that.
Oh, thanks. I think that once you switch your mind frame from that, these aren't just leads, these are humans, and they're just human, just like I am. And I think I try to think of like very creative ways. For example, I was at a restaurant last week, and I just met a gentleman that was sitting across from me, and he was shopping around for a yacht. He was in town to shop for a yacht, which is, we are in the yachting capital of the world, so it's normal. And he was asking me about kind of where should he buy. Now I got to know him more, and all I did was ask questions, because they say that the person who talks the most dominates the conversation, but the person who asks the most questions controls the conversation. Absolutely. So I will never run out of questions. So what I learned about this gentleman just from a 10-minute casual conversation was he owns those duck tour boats in Boston, and he was shopping down for a yacht. So he has on his way to his house, because I'm a stalker and I just need like a name and a phone number and I will find where you live. And I just sent him a book from Amazon as a gift to just give him places of all the best yachting, or the best spots to stop with his boat from when he gets it from South Florida. And just said, congratulations, and just kind of building on the relationship. If you talk to somebody and you find out what their goals are, or maybe what their summer vacation are, what they're doing for spring break. There's, one family was looking to tour all of the baseball stadiums in the United States. Well, the next thing they got in their mail was a book on all the best baseball history of each baseball stadium. I mean, that's where my lead generation, my money goes towards, is to something of items of value that I can give and just come from contribution.
It's interesting that I love that you're doing business this way, because I personally feel like the ones who aren't, at least now, we're not saying that. I think it takes, first of all, I think it takes a very special person and a very specific personality to be able to run your business like this. But you have to be a really high I. You got to be really outgoing, first of all, right? Yeah, so I'm that person too. It can't feel forced. It's got to be genuine. And I think that if this is not at least a small aspect of your business right now that you're not growing, the portals will take over and you will be out of a job.
100%.
Yeah. So do you have a team, or is it just you? Right
I'm with my family, my mom and my uncle, and they've been partners for about 30 years.
I got you. Okay. So, there's there are several teams like this that aren't family-based that do really well with teaching their agents how to fish, so to speak, right? So they teach them how to find their own business. They don't supply leads, and the training and the education is the value proposition. And that's what I feel like this would be if someone were to join your team, because it is something that you can learn. However, it does have to be authentic, and that's where a lot of agents lose track. And it doesn't always have to all be about real estate. I can't tell you, there's one time I sent a text message to my sphere, and the text was, it was Happy 4th of July. Hey, Happy 4th of July, Tara. Hope you're having a great day. Are you barbecuing today, right?
Yeah.
And it was just a question that literally led me to $2 million in volume from one text to one person. Well, because I wasn't talking about real estate. And if they already associate you with real estate, you don't need to talk about it, right? It'll just come to you. That's the part that's super hard for people. What do I say? Just have a conversation. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you just ask them about them. And again, that comes back to just asking questions, because they're human, and you just generally are curious and want to know. The other thing I would say that works very well, which is my branding. When you're personable and you're authentic, your branding has to speak volume. So my brand is a flamingo, and I
know
have
the flamingo behind you.
Yeah, I gotta have it. Literally flamingo nails. Her name's Sally.
Sally?
Sally.
The flamingo?
Yeah, you know Sally, that girl. So like everything on me is flamingo pink. I'm literally selling houses pretty much off of flamingos right now, which I love because what it does is, I'm not saying that everybody goes and gets an animal that people can associate with you, but what I thought was, you know, my favorite color was pink, and my branding in the very beginning was I was always wearing pink. And I did an event one day for my birthday. I do a charity event, and this lady came up to me and she said, "You must be Tara." And I said, "How did you know?" She's like, "You're wearing pink." And I was like, "Oh, it's working, it's working." So that was like about a year of like, just everything was pink, like my clothing, my business cards, you know, and then I was like, what's pink? And then I looked up the meaning of flamingos, and flamingo symbolism stands for elegance and beauty, but they're also the bird that lives the longest and is most social and family oriented. And I'm like, I'm a flamingo.
How long do they live?
I just know that for their category of birds, they are they're the ones that live the longest, because I think parrots live longer than them. But I think it was about 75 years, and then they pair up kind of like penguins do.
They live for. I'm going to gradually turn this webinar into a National Geographic special.
Yeah.
75 years. Okay.
I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on how long, I just know it's like one of the birds that live the longest. And I was like, that's all me.
Awesome.
So I live and breathe my brand. And what I love so much is that people like, I get a lot of gifts where it opens conversations, or I'll get tagged on Facebook at least 5 times a day with flamingo stuff. And that opens up to people I haven't talked to in years, even since high school. And then they're like, "Hey, I saw this. I thought of you." And then that leads into, "Well, how are you doing?" "Oh, I live in South Carolina. I'm actually, you know, still renting. I'm looking to buy soon." And then I'll connect them with an agent and I get paid on it.
Awesome. Let me ask you a quick question, Tara. So one of the things I feel like that the reason a lot of us, and I've done it too, I spend quite a bit of money on realtor.com and Zillow every month, but one of the reasons I feel like so many agents have gravitated there is because the immediacy. So your type of business, give us a feel, because I think it's important for people to understand that you're probably not just going out meeting somebody and then 30 seconds later listing their house. When you're meeting somebody, realistically on an average time frame, how long is it before you actually go and either help them buy a house or help them sell a house?
I would say definitely no less than 90 days. Typically, I would say it's about 6 months to a year, sometimes more. The one I'm getting ready to close on right now was about a little over 2 years of cultivation, you know, and just meeting them there. I think a lot of us, we want things now. And that's just not how this works in this business. So you have to have patience. And I think that a lot of us just don't have that.
I really do feel that, you know, at the heart, we're a customer service and relationship business. And, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, machines can't replace. And so as long as you're driving that home and you're providing that value and you actually care, right? Because, you know, let's face it, buying and selling a house, yes, of course, it's a business transaction, but it's probably one of the most like anxiety-induced and emotional situations anyone will ever be in, and a computer can't guide someone through that situation. So
whatsoever, definitely can't. And I would say, you know, I always tell people there's 3 things that you do not mess with, and that would be somebody's their home, their family, and then their money. So in our business, we mess with all 3 of them at the exact same time. So it's something that's very delicate, and I don't take it lightly. And when they trust you with their largest investment and asset in life, it should be something that you should be very grateful for.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, and I hope everybody heard that. Tara's doing an amazing job. She has an amazing business, did 20 million last year in volume, but it's not a set them up and knock them down business. So she is going back to literally how we did real estate 20, 30, 40 years ago. And if you want to survive, I think that's where we've got to head. You've got to learn to fish upstream. You've got to get that person long before they've decided that they're going to spend a whole bunch of time on all the portals and all those things, because no matter what happens in our industry, those portals will exist. I don't know what that's going to mean for us as real estate agents, but we do know that people are going to continue to go to Zillow. They're going to continue to go to realtor.com. How do we keep them? We get them before they go there. And that's what I hear that you're doing, Tara. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Hey, let's talk about housewarming parties, right? So talk about Talk about the first one you did. Can you remember that one?
Yes, I can.
Let's talk about that one. Talk about how you planned it. Maybe it didn't work as well as you hoped because it was your first one. I don't know. Was there a little bit of a failure there? What was that experience for you?
Well, there's always failures. You're not growing unless you fail a little. Call it failing forward. Yeah, I would say it was a little chaotic. Especially because I didn't have the funds to hire a caterer. So guess who was the caterer? And guess who was the one setting up and bringing all the tools? Like, I was calling a friend of mine who had a catering business, utilizing somebody in my database, and I literally packed 2 industrial sized coolers with everything, down to how many spoons and forks and plates and decor and you name it. And I was lugging that around for the day before and then having to go back and pick that up. That wasn't so fun because it took away from my business a little bit. However, I would say that any event that you do, you have to break it down like elementary school style. Like, remember back in the day in high school, you'd have all the W's and the hows, like who, what, when, where, how, and why. Mm-hmm. That's how I break down any sort of event I'm ever doing, whether it's going to be housewarming or a regular event.
Well, I see that right behind you.
Yes.
So with your flamingo. Mm-hmm. So we all know that is, you're showing it right behind you. So, you're practicing what you preach. So let's talk about how you're closing a good amount of transactions a year at 20 million. Are you doing housewarming parties for everyone? Are you asking everyone if they want one? How do you organize that?
Hell no, I'm not doing one for everyone.
Not no, but hell no.
No, there's no way. I mean, the trend that we've been doing is the ones that buy and sell with us. I would say, really, I'm picking and choosing. I'm picking the ones that I know are fun and I want to meet their friends and family, because let's be honest, if I like them and they're fun, then their friends and family are probably fun. So I want more clients like them. The ones that are not so fun, I'm not offering to do that at closing. So,
what if those people came to you and they were a referral and they turned out to be not the greatest, and they were like, "Hey, you didn't throw us a housewarming party, and so-and-so said you would." How do you avoid that? Because we get that a lot.
I haven't had that happen yet. And if it did happen, I would say, okay, great. I wasn't sure if you'd be interested in one. So when would you like to do one?
You're close. Let me ask you this. When in the transaction do you bring it up? So is it something that you make sure you get through appraisal, or is it something at the after closing? When are you setting them up to help you with this party?
I usually bring it up sometimes in the buyer consultation if I felt that I had a good relationship with them. If not, it'll be usually when we have something difficult come up in the transaction and I need to keep their motivation strong and just keep their eye on the prize. And I'm like, this house is just imagine. I mean, it's going to be so great when we close. And then, oh, by the way, I'm also going to be throwing you a housewarming party. And then we're going to invite all your friends and family over. We're almost there. Just hold on.
Would you tell us how you do that as well? Because it's not as simple as, hey, call everybody you want to come to the party, and then I'll throw the party. I mean, there's more to it than that. So tell us a little bit more about that process so that people can know what's involved and maybe some of the things that you messed up and that you wouldn't do again and that you're doing now that work a lot better.
Okay, so like I said, when I break down every event for who, what, when, where, how, and why, I really start with the who. So the who, like who are you inviting? The first people you're inviting is obviously the family that you closed on. And you're asking them for their friends and family and coworkers. There's no limit on how many people that they can invite. However, I do provide the invitation. And once I do tell them I do need a head count. 2 weeks in advance, and then 1 week in advance, I need a head count, because one thing you never want to do is run out of food. That's like the worst thing that could possibly ever happen.
So you're not inviting them personally. You're having the client call and invite them.
Correct. And I guess we can share too an example of one of my invites, and it does have my email address and phone number on it. However, it does it'll have my branding as like a flamingo, but nothing about me in real estate whatsoever. It just says, welcome to the Diaz family housewarming party, or you're invited. So I send out 3 invites. One would be, which is about 3 weeks in advance, and then the reminder, which is 1 week in advance. And I just create those on Canva and just change the colors a little so they look a little bit more fun.
Gotcha. So
and so those are the re-invites.
Oh, sorry. You're planning these like 3 months out from when they moved in and they're settled and they're ready to have people come see.
Yeah, 3 weeks would be the absolute minimum. I think I would really strive for 45 to 90 days out that you have it planned.
Gotcha.
And then push hard for 3 weeks.
So your last, was it your last housewarming party you got 23 referrals, or it was one in general that was the most you've gotten out of a housewarming party?
So that one the most would be 32 referrals. I had 63 attendees.
So 50% of the people there. So
I've only closed, and let's be totally very transparent. I've only closed so far out of those 33. I've only closed on 3 of them in a year and a half.
Okay.
So
but that's okay. So
it takes time.
When you get
what's the ROI though?
What's that?
So what's the ROI on 3 closings and what, $500?
It's cost me, that one is a little bit larger. That one cost me $550.
$550, and how much volume have you gotten from it so far?
About a little under 2 million.
Yeah, it's not really.
No, totally not worth it at all. I'm actually dying. Let me plug it.
So how do you count? All right. How do you count? What would a real referral from a housewarming party be, right? So 63 people attended, you got 32 referrals. What would your definition be of a referral from a housewarming party?
So they fill out a door prize form, and that's how you collect all their information. That's why I'm not asking the family to provide the list. There's a door prize form at the very front of the room, because the only place that you need your own branding is going to be at the very front when they check in. Now, why are they checking in? They're checking in because they have an opportunity to win raffle ticket items. So the raffle ticket items are something like gift certificates to a restaurant, or I got a massage and a trip. It was like a 3-night stay at a local hotel. And I got those things donated because I used other contacts in my database in order to generate those, or the sponsor dollarship went to purchase one of those, and then when they sign in on the form, I'm taking their name, email, address, and then at the bottom it says check. There's like one of 3 boxes. 1, would you like to know your value of your home in today's market? Second box is would you like to know information on current interest rates? And the third box is, who do you know that I should know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? And then 2 lines for a referral.
Got it. So sometimes the referral actually isn't the actual person who signed in. It might be someone they know.
I would say almost 9 out of 10 times, it's not usually the person that actually signed in.
Wow.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about, unless Brian, you have another question I was going to ask.
No.
Okay. So when you get that sign-in form,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a referral to first of all, you didn't know that person who signed in, right? And you certainly don't know the person they referred to you. What's the first step of contact, and what do you say?
The first step of contact is a call to the person who originally came to the event before I call the referral. And I follow up with a video of a collage of the event.
Okay.
So I'll follow up with the kind of a collage video and say, I hope you really had a good time. I just wanted to follow up with you and thank you so much for referring so-and-so. I just wanted to, and I try to ask them questions more about them. How long have you lived where you live now? Or is there anything that you can tell me about the person that you referred to me? Therefore, I can make sure that it's the best conversation that I can have as well.
That's awesome. So you you have a professional photographer at the housewarming party?
Yes. So if you go back to the who for who you're inviting, so you have the friends and the family, and I also invite the neighbors. And I do get permission from the owners. I do let them know I am going to be inviting the neighbors, and I do the 5-5-5 rule. So 5 to the left, 5 to the right, 5 in front. maybe sometimes 5 in the back. And you just have to imagine, if they have any stipulations about that, they're like, well, I don't want my neighbors knowing. I'm like, well, listen, you have a dog, and imagine how many times you're walking your dog, and your dog happens to maybe go in their yard. Wouldn't you really like if you got to know them first before that happens? So, and then by using Co's Realty resource, I'll pull, phone numbers and door knock and whatnot. And it's really fun because not like all the neighbors always show up, and they show up with gifts. And that's just more gifts for the family. So that's fun. And then,
oh, I love what you've done with the house. The previous owners, they were just a mess.
Yeah, that could be super fascinating when they come in and totally criticize everything. And then I would say, it really takes like a village. So inviting the people, how I cut my costs down is the title person that was involved, the lender that was involved, the inspector, and the insurance person, if it wasn't already attached to the loan. So that's where I'm getting my sponsorship dollars from.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so they're paying for it. Love it. Love it. Okay, awesome. So I love that you're inviting the neighbors too, because you're kind of like, hey, let's get to know your area. Let's get to know the people that live around you. And if your dog poops in their yard, they already know you.
Yeah, basically. I'm trying to think ahead.
I love it.
Let me ask you another question, Tara. So you had 32 people and 3 of them are doing transactions. By the way, that's fabulous. Those numbers are amazing. But what are you doing with the other 29? I mean,
they still get the touch campaign.
Okay. Are they on a phone? Are they a phone call on a drip? Are they an email, text, a combination, voice drops? What kind of stuff are you doing with them?
Well, sticking to the model, they could be considered a MET. So they're getting, the 4 quarterly calls a year, as well as our newsletter that we send out. And then sometimes we'll throw in, I do 3 events a year. So they'll get the invites to those 2.
Cool. So I'll let you segue perfectly there. Tell us about your events, since you're doing 3 additional events a year.
Well, if you break down the calendar year, and this is how I kind of started, and I was just like, I don't even know, when do I do an event? How do I do it? If you break down the calendar year, thank you, Michael Mayer, for giving me this system. So if you look at January through December, my events are March, July, and November. And the reason being is because January and February is invite. So you invite everybody. March is the event. April is your follow-up. And yes, it does take a whole month to follow up while you're running a business. And then May and June is invite. July is your event. August is your follow-up. And the same thing with September and October. And then November is my pie day. So I'll do a pie day where we give out the pies in November. And I do it at my office. So my office turns into the party. Fully catered, door prizes, everything for that too. And then July, we do a bowling event. I've always wanted to do like a backyard barbecue and have my tons of flamingo yard games that I have. But I live in South Florida, and it's just too hot. It's just way too hot. So
it's pretty hot in Fort Lauderdale.
So I can't do that in July. And then March, I have it centered around my birthday. I'm getting ready to do my 4th annual puppy pop-up charity event. And my birthday goal is to get 10 dogs adopted on site.
Oh, that's so freaking cool. I love anything with animals. So my team in New Jersey, when I had my team in New Jersey, we would donate a portion from every closing, every commission to the local animal shelter. And so last year we gave them $2,000, which was awesome. So anything having to do with dogs or cats or pets, people just like gush over it. I love that idea about adoption, though. That's super cool.
Yeah, it's been it's ups and downs. I had a little bit of a tragedy with the one last year. There's things that happen unexpectedly. Remember that one? But we got them all readopted, and only one passed away, so it totally worked out. And I got all those other families new dogs. I say that you just have to do something that like speaks to your heart, like something that you are passionate about. And the other thing is, I think that people think when they do these events, what am I going to say to these people? Or what do I do? Do I just stand there awkwardly in like the corner? No, your job is to for a housewarming, your job is to be the caterer. Like you're the bus girl and the caterer, and you're just there, and you don't talk about real estate, and you will just have it on your name badge. And you only have one area where your door prize form is, where your stuff throws up on them, like your branded stuff. And you just let the rest speak for itself.
Yeah, don't make it about yourself. Don't make it about your brand, because then that's just gonna cloud the excitement and the genuine opportunity that you have. So I totally agree with that.
I mean, it's still, there's like flamingos. There's still like flamingos in the pool, and then everybody's wearing pink and stuff. But that's subliminal.
How long do you stay, Tara? I think that's an important question. Are you staying the entire time? Are you staying 30 minutes and leaving? What are you doing?
That's a really good question.
I believe in 2-hour intervals. So 5 to 7, 6 to 8, just keeping in mind of daylight savings time and what their backyard will look like when the sun goes down, if it's going to be when the sun goes down. And plan for the same thing you do with an open house. Set up an hour before, but you are not staying for breaking down. You are leaving when the party's over, even if it's still going. I'll leave and kind of, let them mingle. And speaking of that, there's one thing that I totally must note on before I forget, especially for these events and the housewarming parties, never provide liquor. Do not provide liquor.
Liability.
Huge liability. I mean, if you can provide the mixers, I provide everything: food, setup, breakdown, invites, photographer, you name it, I provide it. The only thing I need them to do is invite all their friends and family and provide any alcohol if that's what they choose to do. That's their choice.
Yeah, you don't want to be held responsible for that. God forbid something happens.
Hey, since we're on Facebook Live right now, let me ask you this. You've got a photographer, you got a videographer, you got these people. How well are you doing, and what's your process to get the people at the party, including the owners and the other people, to post this on Facebook? Is there a process that you have there?
That's a great question.
I've only actually done that once, where it worked, where we managed it, and we put, the amount of people who actually tag a photo and write the hashtag Let's Flamingo, and I was able to track it that way. That was the only time that I actually successfully did that. I would say the other events I definitely failed, and I just couldn't keep track of finding a way for them to also tag us on Facebook and do that successfully.
Okay, maybe you can give a door prize to the person who gets the most likes on their Facebook about that or something. I don't know.
I mean, that's what we'd only try that for the one. I just feel like if I could have somebody manage, like somebody that could be there to help kind of encourage that and go around, that would be great. One thing that I think is very crucial is, especially down here, it's very transient and people speak with different languages. So whatever type of language the family speaks, I do bring somebody who speaks that language. One, because I want to know what other people are saying about me.
I need a spy.
And two, just so I can communicate better when we're sitting down and having conversations.
Sure.
Got it. But it's really to hear what they're saying about you. Let's
be honest. I totally want to know. Or if they're talking about real estate, I need to know, because I can't understand what they're saying.
So, I just find this whole thing fascinating. That all of your business is organically generated. What's the amount of money you spent on housewarming and client events was for all of 2018? Because I just want to compare it. If you did 20 million in volume, I just want to compare that to the amount of money people are spending on buying leads. What was the expense? Us
out of pocket. Not including what sponsors have, obviously. So us personally out of pocket, $2,500 for the year.
The sponsors that
$2,500 for the year.
20.
That's free. In case you guys didn't hear, I spent $2,500 during this webinar on something else.
Yeah, seriously. I just spent $2,500 on Facebook just about 5 minutes ago.
Exactly.
And then don't get it twisted. I mean, I'll spend up to, I'm definitely above that cost when it comes to my items of value for clients and touches and stuff. I'm closer to like 5, sometimes maybe closer to 10.
Do you think a majority of your business actually comes from the client events and the housewarming, or is it from the long-term follow-up of this huge database that you're building? What do you think? Where do you think most of it's really coming from?
So the way that I track it is I'll track it every 3 months, so once a quarter typically. I'll track where my business is coming from, and it's always the top 5 sources, and it just changes order sometimes. Okay. Open houses is huge, and I just do the same type of systems and conversations that I do for events. Open houses, sphere of influence, client events, and agent referrals.
Nice.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. Any sort of like Facebook branding that you're doing, retargeting your sphere of influence on Facebook and staying in front of them on social media, any of that stuff going on at all? If not, that's cool. I'm just curious.
Not as much. I have just started hiring somebody to take over that full time, because last year or 2 years ago, it was just me doing it. And I'm like, that's not my one thing.
Sure.
So I've hired 2 more. I have interns that come in every once a quarter. So I usually throw that on them. And it usually involves flamingos, meaning it involves some sort of that they see the brand and they think of us, and I'll just do that for like an event that's coming up or like a reminder.
Yeah, because I don't really count that as a paid lead source. I just count that as another way to stay in front of people that love you already.
Oh, totally. But it'll be more like, okay, where's the best spots to go for the 4th of July to watch the fireworks? Or where's the best spots to go watch the holiday lights?
For sure. You're giving them information on things that they care about. So that's really awesome. Wow. $2,500 on client events and housewarming. Brian, I quit. I just quit the business. Just
I spent $3,000 on a water park last year. I spent $2,700 on a movie theater. I don't
on
even
a water park?
Yeah, I rented out the water park.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Wait,
we have yeah, it was $3,000. It was only 2 hours, but basically we have a small water park. It's not like, it's not Six Flags, but it's just a small little local water park. But our clients loved it. We had 500 clients show up.
Like a splash park or something?
Yeah, it has like a lazy river and a couple of water slides and a thing for kids. It's a lot of fun. It's just like one of those things where you do that. And, I didn't pay $3,000 out of my pocket. We had some other people sponsor it, but it's $3,000. And, it's things like that, to your point, it's fun. And I guarantee you it's paid for itself 4 or 5 times over. I've got a person who was at the water park. We put him under contract 3 days ago. So, it's not right now business necessarily. Sometimes it is. To your point, this is one of my favorite things to say, guys. If you need right now business and that's all you need, aren't you going to be in business 6, 12, 18, 24, 5 years from now? We need business, and I'd love to just not have to cold call and call FSBOs and expireds and call realtor.com leads anymore. So, that's what it's all about. And I love the way you set up your business. And, anyone who's listening, you're not going to be able to go from 0 to 100 in a day this way. But here's the thing. It'll build naturally and give you opportunity to get it going and build systems around it is what I've heard Tara say, is she has a system. Her who, what, why, when, and how system is an amazing one. So congratulations.
And there's no better time to start than right now, because the industry is changing. If you want to be in business in a year or even 3 to 5 years, this is where you need to start moving some of your business towards. Hey, Tara, I just want to say that one of the most fun client events we did was Movie Under the Stars. And we actually it was in our backyard. We had about 100 people there. And we hired a company that supplied like a 20-foot screen, and they had a little popcorn and icy machine.
Love
and we
it.
showed Moana. Yeah, we had it was Moana, and then we got barbecue catered, and we had a girl who looked just like Moana, and she dressed like Moana, and she came and she sang Moana songs, and they did face paint for the kids. And it cost us $1,000. $1,000. It was so much fun. I can't, like you said, it's hard to tell if any specific business came from that. But the point is, everyone had fun. It was posted all over Facebook. We still hear today how great it was. Just appreciate your clients and friends. That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely. So I have to ask, when's your next one?
I called you on the carpet.
No. So that was in New Jersey, and I'm in Michigan now. So where we are, I have a brand new team here, right? And so we're not going to do any client events this year. We're going to wait until we're on track to do about 22 million, which is great. I think about 80 transactions for our first year in Michigan, which I'm really proud of.
Amazing.
So here we're going to really focus on the client appreciation events. That's once we have those sold homes.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know when that one is. And I'm sure it'd be a little too cold to do it.
Your girl Sunshine's my rainmaker, so she has a
I love her.
Cool. Well, listen, any we're running a little bit out of time, but any like parting words? You know, how would you? What would be your piece of advice for someone who would want to get into this? Where should they start? You know, how would they go about, you know, doing their first client party? How big should it be? How small? You know, what are the best types of events to do? You know, that type of stuff. You know, agents don't have a imagination, so they need us to tell.
I would say, well, being authentic and just being you is key. And it doesn't have to be a big event. And it could be something as small as do I Love You latte and go and let everybody know that you're going to be at the coffee shop from this hour to this hour and their coffee is on you. And guess what? The best part is that nobody knows how many people you invited. So if 5 show up, then you guys were the only 5 that I invited. Like, I'm not going to tell anyone. They don't know.
Starbucks can get pricey, so just make sure you have $100 in your pocket at least.
Yeah, that, or I would probably prefer a more mom and pop, local support, local love, you know, your local family business. And even if nobody really shows up, then I would probably end up just paying for the next 50 people that came by or 25 people and just give the person $100 and say, here, I'm going to buy 1 coffee for each person, 1 per person, until the $100 runs out. And I'm going to be sitting over here with my laptop and working and have my name badge on and just let them know that it's for me. And I mean, it can start super, super simple. It doesn't have to be big and extravagant. And I think I would say Pinterest keeps you organized. So any type of like idea that I have, you should see my Pinterest. Oh. And if anyone has any questions, I'm literally an open book. I have no problem sharing my checklist but go back to the basics. Who, what, when, where, how, and why. Who are you targeting? What are you doing? Where are you doing it? When are you doing it? Obviously the why, we know we really have to grow your database to your data bank, and just look at leads as humans. They're just humans.
Leads are people too. Leads are people too. Brian, leads are people too, Brian. There's one question over here that I wanna. I mean, there's more questions, but one specifically, agent to agent referrals. Are you big on that?
Yeah, it's actually grown a whole lot.
Okay, so they're saying, but you're not independent. You're with Keller Williams, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're asking where you find your source for referrals. I mean, KW has a big referral network, so I'm sure that's where some of it comes from. But I guess if you're an independent broker, you want to network as much as possible, you know, in different Facebook groups and networking events in your area, right?
Yeah, I mean, I time block my time for networking on Facebook. That's usually about an hour, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon. So it's actually blocked off as one of my lead generation times. And I kind of have a little twisted mindset, I guess, when it comes to this, because not only, I mean, with KW, we just have the endless opportunities for opportunities to meet other agents, but even going to brokers opens weekly that are in your area and getting to know the agents. And I got that from my mom. My mom's been going to brokers opens every week for of 20 years or so. So when we have our brokers opens, we have at least 75 people usually attend, no less than 50, because they come back and reciprocate that. However, the reason why I go to network with these agents is because I firmly believe that a lot of agents are not interested in working hard as well as some others are. And not all of them are going to be in this business for very long. So I want to build a great relationship with them so that when they get out, they call me for their referrals.
Love it. Okay, this has been really informative, and I'm gonna have to go back and watch this because sometimes when I'm on the webinars, I can't focus 100%. I'm thinking of other questions to ask, and then I'm kind of crowdsourcing. So I always go back and watch, and I'm sure that I'm gonna get tons of value because the stuff that I did pick up was incredible, and I need to really drill down on these client events starting next year now that I'm in a new market. So I love it. I love it. I love it. So thank you so much for being there. And talking to us. Brian, did you have any final thoughts or questions you want to add?
I'm going to piggyback on you. I took notes. So, I mean.
Oh, my gosh.
So, I mean, Tara, I just love what you're doing, and I love the natural approach. And I don't know, and we talked old school, new school. It's just an amazing opportunity to not have to live your life as a grind. I've had agents on my team going, I feel like I'm always on call for the next lead to come in. If you don't want to be on call for the next lead to come in, generate themselves and control your own business, which is exactly what Tara's doing. So if you'd actually like to have a life outside of real estate, maybe this is a great opportunity, a great way to build a business. So congratulations.
Thanks for having me.
Brian, did you just say go get your own business and
Who would have thunk?
did you just say don't rely on other people to send you the oh my god, did you tell people to work? Brian, you know we don't like to do that.
We don't all really love to work. Just go and get it. If you want it really bad, just go and get it.
There you go. Awesome. I love it. Thanks for being here, both of you. This has been really amazing. I hope you have a great day, and I hope everybody watching got a lot of value. I know I did. We will see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Thank you.